First thing we have tonight with the budget is the public hearing on the budget. All persons are reminded this session is being recorded on tape for the preservation of records. You're asked when called upon to give your name, address, and interest in the matter before the council. Those matters tonight are discussion of the constant yield tax rate, discussion of Ordinance 548, an ordinance for the levy of taxes for the fiscal year 2024, which starts on July 1st of this year. Discussion of Ordinance 549, an ordinance to adopt the annual budget for the town of Hampstead for the period of July 1 through to June 30th of next year. Discussion of a resolution 2023-01, lots of numbers, a resolution regarding the increase of water rates, and discussion of resolution 2023-03, a resolution to establish a new rental housing license fee. What happened to 23-02?
It was passed last month.
Okay, thanks.
Introduced and passed.
Thanks. So as part of this, I usually go through town budget notes and the way we're looking at things, or at least the way I'm looking at things, and how what's going on out in the world impacts what's going on in town here. So every year we talk about, and I know this is dry material, but we go through it every year so you know how we're spending your money. The goals are every year retaining our small town charm by keeping Hampstead safe, affordable, and a great place to live and raise a family. Every decision is based on the long-term best interest of our town, and that's not 3 or 4 years, that's 20 years out. It's stood us well with all the capital improvements that we've gotten through the years, that it's a very long-term outlook. And then finally, fiscal sustainability and resiliency, where we try to minimize the impacts that come from the state and county governments when they have budget cuts, when the inevitable downturn may occur. And the other piece of that is always tricky for us is the unfunded mandates and new regulatory requirements, one of which is making it very difficult for our water system currently. I'd say an overview of the economic environment. For the last 3 years, I've said we were in a period of uncertainty, and there's no reason to change that comment. I was just at a business convention in Vegas with a whole bunch of real estate people with the real job. The two words I heard were uncertain and murky. So they were the two words most used, just over again. The bright side is the employment remains strong, which drives consumer spending. Witnessed Dave and Wayne in the last year, and as a result, in the last month, and most anticipated recession in my memory has not yet occurred. Here's for economists, they can't predict 1 month out, yet alone 1 year out. For the last 17 Labor Department jobs reports dating back to January of 22, the jobs count has beaten consensus estimates 14 of 17 times. So at some point, you probably should start looking at your model, but that just shows you the uncertainty in the track record. Shows you that the economy is being very resilient. And of course, in order to combat inflation, the Federal Reserve has raised the federal fund rate 10 times since March of 2022 to a range of 5 to 5.25%, bringing borrowing costs to their highest level since 2007. Tomorrow, there's another announcement due. The consensus is they're going to skip a month. We'll see. And there's typically a lag effect when the Fed starts raising rates of a year to 18 months until they actually take effect. So we're currently in that window, and that's probably a reason for everybody having that uncertain direction comment on the economy. So we'll see what happens here in the next 9 to 12 months. There's some troubling signs. Inflation, though coming down, remains well above the Fed's 2% target. And then offsetting that as well, the consumer, there's 1.6 jobs available for every person available to work, resulting in businesses, including us, having a difficult time finding people to fill open positions. A negative factor because it drives inflation, but a positive for us because we get to share all those income taxes you pay to the state. So there's more to follow on that in a minute. So that's my overview of the economy. Priorities for us: safety always. The police department, it's always trained to today's standards. You always hear Chief talk about how many hours of training they've put in, and they're able to deal with today's issues. We currently have 9 sworn officers. 1 is in training and will be on the street in August, and one administrator. Lieutenant Gagler is retiring in August after 25 years of service, and we've posted for her replacement. We have a town staff of 5. That number has really not changed in my memory. A knowledgeable, professional, and very helpful team, and I'm here enough to see it, and all manner of inquiries come through that door on the side. We have business retention and development. Most every retail space on Main Street is occupied, and the businesses appear brisk. I almost forgot the water system. which is safe and in compliance with ever-increasing regulations that they are becoming a burden. Measurements in 1 part per trillion, that's a 1 with 12 zeros for those keeping score at home. That's what we have to, that's the regulations that we have to meet. That's where we're going these days. Our public works staff has 8 people. I think all of them are water certified. And we also have 1 part-time project coordinator who comes to us with years of experience, and he's a welcome addition to the town, who we were able to, with Kevin's connections, bring along in the last year. Main Street, we're always looking for ways to make it more of an asset or an attraction. We've come a long way in the last year, having completed upgrades to our War Memorial Park and added new signs on each end of our town, giving us, I think, a little more pop than it back in the old tired days. It's really come a long ways. Specifics on the budget. Number 1 is property taxes. There's no increase in the property taxes. It's 22 cents. Last increase we had was in 2016, which was 1 cent, and the time before that was 2002. And we compare very favorably with Manchester at 21.6, Sykesville at 33, Tonytown at 37, and Westminster at 56. Our property taxes next year are budgeted to be at $1.5 million, which is 3.5% above year-to-date 2023. We're in the first year of a reassessment cycle. We just got reassessed, so next year is the first year of that reassessment cycle. From what I can see in the housing market, it's still a seller's market. The housing market remains resilient in face of the higher rates, limited inventory, with a base of buyers exceeding the supply, and the few houses on the market are lasting only a few days while still going for ask or slightly above ask. So though not as high as they were going before, but they're well above assessed value. And our section of the county, as I said, was just reassessed. So it looks stable to improving for the property tax side of the business for us. And we're I'll get to it in a minute, but I think we're $4.3 million in revenue, 1.5 of which comes from property taxes. Personal business property taxes are $64,000 at a rate of 55 cents. They remain flat compared to last year.
4 million.
64,000. That's an M in Roman. So Manchester's at 46, Sykesville's 87.5, Tonytown 80, and Westminster at $1.10. So you can see once again we're very low to competitive. Amusement tax is 60,000, up from 54, and consistent with actuals for this past year. Most of that results from golf, that the amusement tax we get from Oakmont Green, and ever since COVID, everybody's back out on the golf course playing, so enjoying the great outdoors. So it's a good thing to see. Local share of income taxes is another big number of ours, $1.25 million. It's flat from where we project to end this year, 2023, but it's 15% higher than 2 years ago. And that just goes to show you how resilient the job market's been. These are the income taxes that you pay the state that we get a share of to spend here in Hampstead. So it's not an extra tax, but make sure we get our share of the taxes to be spent locally. But it, like I said, just shows you how resilient the employment market's been, with everybody out there having a job and doing well with them. Other revenue, we have highway user revenue funding, which is the transportation fund. Not that long ago, now it is getting long ago, in the O'Malley years, they cut 90% of that trust fund from us. And we have $342,000 to spend next year compared to $266,000 last year. Under the Hogan administration, they stopped rating the transportation trust fund and gave the money back to local people. This is when you go pump gas locally, a share of that tax comes back to us so that we can pave our roads. And every penny we get from this, we put into paving our roads. So, and we're making up for lost time with that. We've got certainty for the next 4 years before that comes up for renewal again, so we'll see how that plays out. Program open space is how we go about improving our parks. We're out of cycle next year, but we were in cycle this past year. We get it in May, we spend it the next year. It's $146,000. Not as much as we've gotten in the past, but we've done very well in the past, and we're going to do something at Sugar Maple Park with an obstacle course. Carroll County overlapping fees are $401,000, a slight improvement over last year. That basically, the county collects taxes from you all. You're not getting taxed twice, so they share some of that money that you pay them with us because their services we provide, they don't have to. Cable TV franchising, that's $61,000 in flat. I'm surprised actually it's not been lower because of all the cord cutting that's going on. So when you look at all the revenues, the budget for next year to the budget for this year, we're at $4.274 million compared to $3,996,000 last year, just under $4 million, which represents a 7% increase. So the revenues are holding up very well, but they're just being offset by expenses, which I will now go through. Salaries, we have 24 employees, one of which is 24 employees plus one who is part-time, the aforementioned project coordinator. The 24 represents no change from year to year. Employees are getting 3 to 4% general increases, which is in line with other towns in the county. However, to keep current with the overall employment market and the general state of the economy, we consider increases above those amounts to retain key employees every single year. We're always evaluating our employees and the contribution they make and rewarding them accordingly. Trash and waste removal is $405,000 next year. That's the biggest expense in the general fund. It's a 2.5% increase over last year. We're continuing to use Hughes, which has been a great partner, and we're in year one of a 5-year contract, so we just had to rebid that contract. One point that I want to make out forever, increasing stormwater management and National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permitting, which is phase 2 of EPA and state-funded mandated costs. So back in 2011 to 14, those costs ran about $26,000 to $42,000 a year. Now they consistently run over $100,000 a year. And next year it's budgeted at $126,000. We partner with the county to meet all those mandates. Watershed implementation plans. It's a whole bunch of stuff that gives you a headache when you really get into the regs. And thank God Kevin and others can handle that. On the water fund, we've got an 8% increase in our water rates. Our rates are on par with other Carroll County towns. This is the first increase we've had in 5 years after many years of 8% increases in a row. And the only reason for that is because of EPA and MDE regs, which require significant capital improvement costs, which you'll hear about in the capital plan, to meet regulatory requirements. That's PFAS, PFOA, that's all the plastics that are in water, that's the latest thing, and that's the one they're measuring in parts per trillion. Appropriations permit, we renewed it, I think now 2 years ago, right? And we currently sit at 630,000 gallons a day. We're experiencing a surge in water demand because we've popped over 400,000 with the drought for quite a few days in a row. But you can see there's still some room there, assuming we can meet all the regulatory burden going forward. We've spent some money on water detection and leaks, and it's led to a big increase in efficiency and capacity in our system. The new pipes, whether on Main Street or right out here, have paid immediate dividends. We see an immediate drop in the usage of water because we're not wasting it in the ground as much. Water operating chemicals is one of the biggest expenses. That's $100,000 a year. That's for all the chemicals that go into the pump houses so the water stays clean. And one thing that is a burr in my saddle is the solar array that we have out up in North Carroll Farms, which was supposed to take off a lot of our electricity burden. Not happened. So it's performed sporadically at best, and it basically overpromised and underdelivered. It's been a challenge throughout the entire process. So, I mean, Kevin, they say it's not dirty, and Kevin goes out there and takes a wipe, and you can see how dirty the things are, and it just doesn't connect to our system the way it properly should. Over the years, we've done some bonding. 3 bonds in particular. There's a paving bond that we did back when we were getting slammed from the Transportation Trust Fund. We took out $500,000 in 2013. We're in year 11 of 15 of that bond. Street lights on Main Street, that was $651,000. It's hard to believe, but we're in year 5 of 15 on that bond. And the water line, $2.9 million, which is by far our largest, which we issued in 2015. So we're in year 8 of 20, but that has a 50-year amortization period. So even after the first 20 years is up, we've got 30 more to go. The first pipe lasted for 75 years, so we're thinking this one will too. So on the bonding front, we're doing well. We had all those ARPA funds that came in the American Rescue Plan Act during COVID. So we've got over $4 million of rescue plan money, and with this budget, all of it will have been spent on the water. For the most part, all of it will have been spent on the water system. And the last piece of it here will be spent with trying to overcome some of the PFAS and the engineering related to the system improvements that we're going to make. So, you know, Our forecast, uncertain to positive. Residential sales, as I said, are occurring quickly and at asking prices. Small residential developments are continuing in our pipeline, which will add to our tax base in the future. We've got small lots, small subdivisions, Melanie Acres at 6, to Westwood condos continuing to be built, to Hampstead Overlook, which hopefully they're going to break ground here in the next year, which will eventually all add to our tax base. On the commercial side, you got Ridge Engineering on the north end of town, an 80,000 square foot addition, which will be complete by the fall, which will add to our base. North Carroll redevelopment, the old high school, is taking some time as plans try to get through the county, which is an ongoing theme. Hans is coming to town, but at least a year before construction starts there as well. Overall, we're a reflection of the economy, and since our revenue is based on property taxes and income taxes, but we've held up quite well, but we remain quite diligent. And I hope you agree that what we do, we provide first-class service, and we're getting stuff done, as somebody told me once in a much more eloquent way, with the improvements being made, improving our quality of life, and making our town a great place to live. So that's my take on the budget. Is there any comments on the budget? Going once, twice, 3 times? All right, close public hearing. Switch gears. And we'll call the regular meeting of the Town Council to order, and we'll rise for a moment of silence. And the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tammi, roll call.
Mayor Nevin.
Here.
Councilwoman Barrett. Here. Councilwoman Painter. Here. Councilman Thomas.
Here.
Councilman Unglesby.
Here.
And Councilman Zolman is absent.
And he's on extended absence, military duty. So, minute approvals from the council meeting on May 10th.
So moved. Second.
Wayne to Dave. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? When you're ready, Tammi.
I think pretty much everybody was at Hampstead Day. So Hampstead Day 2023 was a huge success. The Lions Club estimated that it was the largest attendance for the event in its 49 years. There were 141 vendors registered this year compared to 93 in 2022, and it is anticipated that 179 vendors will register for 2024. As the mayor just mentioned, our commercial and residential projects continue to move forward. We continue to work with several different site plans, construction projects, and business prospects. Steve Walton has applied for permits for the construction of the third 12-unit condo building on Wimsley Drive. For our different town projects that we have going on, the North Water Tower project's completed. Public Works had filled the tower to the halfway mark. Then all the water sampling results were conducted, and they were negative for bacteria and volatile organic compounds. Results were sent to MDE, and approval was received to place the North Water Tower back in service. So Public Works completed the filling of the water tower today and placed it back in service.
Is that a reason for some of the elevated numbers we're seeing?
It's somewhat, but there is an awful lot of grass watering going on.
The pipe removal and replacement project is completed, and that includes the pavement patching and the sidewalks. Fairmount Road from Main Street to the county line has been paved according to bid. We expanded the contract to include the paving of the adjacent municipal lot. Town staff continue to have monthly progress meetings with our consultants to discuss the status of the engineering design for our water system centralization project. Town staff and our consultants met with the county staff on June 1st to discuss sewer services for the new and expanded water treatment facilities. With our finance in town, the auditors will be at the town office on Thursday, June 22nd, to begin their preliminary testing for the 2023 financial statements. Several financial reports through May 31st were sent to them electronically last week. Town staff met virtually with county staff to discuss the Robertsfield stormwater facility and stream that's the word I can't say, Kevin.
Restoration.
Restoration project, which is in the design phase at this point. Yesterday, town staff met with the representatives from the State Department of Community and Housing Development to discuss Maryland's local government infrastructure finance program. This program reduces bond issuance costs by pulling the local demand. The Department of Housing manages a tax-exempt bond financing process on behalf of the state's local governments and municipalities. Capital projects that enable the delivery of essential services are eligible projects if we would decide to apply in the future.
We apparently we're one of the few towns who hasn't applied because Farmers has taken good care of us. Plus, they have a 10-year term limit, and I know on our water line we've got a 20-year term. So,
I think we're the only town in Carroll County that has not utilized the project, but like the mayor said, we'll give that a read through.
probably has something to do with the mayor being a
Local
banker.
bank.
But all right, thank you. Any questions for Tammi? Oversight responsibilities, Diane.
Okay, according to Market Manager Keith Johnson, opening day 2023 was one of the best opening days for the farmers market ever. We were grateful for a clear blue sky after several days of smoky haze from the Canadian wildfires. The market got off to a great start with 33 vendors and upwards of 2,000 customers. So we had a really good turnout. We were out of our tote bag giveaway within the first half an hour, and the pretzel guy sold out of his pretzels by 9 a.m., so you got to get there early. The ribbon cutting was held at 9 a.m. Along with myself, Chris, Deb, and Tammi were there representing the town. Commissioner Kenny Kyler and Ron Schroers of Coppermine also participated. So thank you to everyone who was there to make opening day a great success. On Saturday, May 13th, the advisory team hosted our vendor appreciation luncheon at Green Mountain Station. Kim Beatty of Goose Ridge Soaps gave a presentation on best practices for engaging with customers. Her primary message to fellow vendors is to greet every customer and let them know you're available for any questions, and then let the customer take the lead versus using aggressive sales tactics. She also encourages vendors to get to know each other and what they sell so they can refer customers to other vendors for specific items that they might not carry themselves. So, we do have a lot of camaraderie amongst the vendors, and it's just a great atmosphere for, for sharing the customers, and it really works out well for everybody. So the relocation of the seating areas from the outer fringes to the middle of the market in front of the band has gotten a very favorable response. We also added cornhole in the grassy area near the band at the back of the market. So come out and enjoy a leisurely morning of shopping, music, and games with us. We look forward to seeing you.
Hopefully the pretzel guy makes more pretzels.
Well, I think they lasted a little bit longer last Saturday, but
10
yeah.
o'clock.
Okay, Wayne.
Hampstead Train Station Committee, Music in the Park started this past Saturday with Middle Sister. I think we had a pretty good crowd. Everybody had a good time. Our next event's going to be on the 24th. It's going to be music by Just Us, former mayor of the town, his band. For the other events that we're going to have, you can check us out at hampsteadtrainstation.com. The Hampstead Train Station, in conjunction with the Main Street Committee, is going to be doing the Hampstead Fall Fest this year. It's going to be on October 7th. So we're working on plans and meeting regularly to get that underway. So thanks for the Main Street Committee to help out with that, and looking forward to a really good time. We've got bands booked for it, and plural, yeah. We got 3 bands booked for it, and we've got we're going to have a beer garden and a few other things going on. Yeah, I've already checked with the chief.
It's all approved.
All right.
Tree Commission,
all good.
It's going to meet in July. We're going to look at doing some planting at the War Memorial and also for our fall planting. That's all I
Hopefully
have.
it rains more, so you can have something other than rock to put it in.
Yes.
Deb.
Okay, Planning and Zoning Commission met on Wednesday, May 24th. There was a public hearing to discuss the final site plan for Melanie Acres 3, located on Dana Avenue. A few of the residents expressed their concerns regarding how the new homes would fit into the existing homes, specifically regarding the aesthetics. The resolution is that the builder will provide the specs they use for their new home plans and has every intention of making sure the new homes will blend with the existing ones. After the hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission began their meeting where it was presented that Melanie Acres 3 does meet all the code through the adequate facilities study. Sorry, these are new reading glasses and it's difficult. There was an approval of a new sign for the Hampstead Barber Shop at 1228 North Main Street to replace the old weathered sign with a new sign and new posts, as well as new lights on the top portion. Following that approval was a discussion regarding off-street parking for the Quaker City Flour Mill at 4041 Gill Avenue. There's a total of 39 units once the plans for apartments is completed, to include 25 studios, 12 one-bedroom units, and 2 two-bedroom units for a total of 39 units. The request was for 62 parking spots. Code states the multifamily residents have 2.5 spots per dwelling unit, which would be a total of 97 spaces. This particular lot would not be able to accommodate that unless the number of units was decreased. The commission approved the 62 spots contingent that each unit will be assigned a particular number of parking spots during the lease signing.
You got to look at that 2.5 for apartments. That's a big number.
It is a
How many
big
units
number.
were there when you owned it?
13.
Big investment. Okay.
The commission discussed having a sign workshop to go through the current code. Finally was the introduction of the 2023 Hampstead Growth Area Amendment, whereas the growth area would be reduced in one area that is not being developed and expanded where Penguin Random House is currently, so they can be annexed into the town.
Thank you. And finally,
I have water.
oh, you're doing water? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting used to the new lineup here.
I mean, I can go sit over there if you want. We can do that.
Go right ahead.
May 2023 average water usage was 359,000 gallons per day. June 2023 average water usage so far is 417,000 gallons per day. Rainfall for May of 2023 was 0.74 inches, and so far for June 2023 is 0.05 inches.
Jesus.
That includes yesterday?
It didn't rain
No.
here yesterday.
But didn't, depending on what neighborhood you were in, it did.
It rained.
We had exactly 0.04 hundredths of an inch recorded.
And we need per month. Roughly.
We are 8 inches behind right now.
Yep. Get the divining rod out.
Couple things. Chief Sites Park, the freestanding summer breeze swing that was purchased from Forever Redwood has arrived and will be installed in the coming weeks. At War Memorial Park, I want to thank Public Works once again. The new sidewalk project is completed. Several people came up to me the other night and said how wonderful it was. You can walk nice and not fall, and it's great. And then last month we talked about the sign that was put up that says War Memorial Park on the side of the amphitheater. That was also illuminated. Thanks once again. Looks really good. I want to thank Molly Rose, citizen here in town, and Christy Collins, who used to work here in the town. They helped me with some plantings in the existing beds up at the War Memorial Park. We put in quite a bit of native plants up there as well, carrying that theme. These were donated by the Friends Quaker Meeting House out in Tawnytown. That's been there since 1725, I believe they told me. And they donated all the plants.
Why?
Why? Did
Yeah,
they
they're in
donate the plants?
Tawnytown. Why?
Well, they reach out to local towns. So the mayor up there had told me, Mayor Perry Jones had said, excuse me, wrong town, Union Bridge, excuse me.
Okay.
Let's get back to the right town. Yeah, so he had reached out to me and told me to contact them, and they were thrilled to help.
Very nice.
So that's good. Off to MML in the next couple of weeks. We're looking forward to the classes and meeting with state and other town officials. So we'll all be there.
Yes, we will. Chief?
Good evening, everyone. For the month of May, with reference to traffic safety, we investigated one reportable accident, 5 minor property damage accidents, and 4 crashes that took place at the 42 Circle. Speed signs were placed at 7 locations for 94 days of display, and the focus continued to be in the school areas. Traffic enforcement included 38 selective enforcements over an 18-and-a-half-hour period. During that activity, 24 citations and 21 warnings were issued. Overall, traffic enforcement included 157 citations and 183 warnings. Control checks, we conducted 501 property checks of businesses and schools. Serious crime included 2 assaults of the second degree. One was non-domestic violence related, and in one of the matters, prosecution was declined by the victim. One assault of the second degree took place. It was domestic violence related, and they referred to the commissioner's office in that it was excessively late reported. One possession for controlled dangerous substance without a prescription. One possession of CDS with intent to distribute. A violation of a protective order. A theft of $1,500. A threat of violence at the Shiloh Middle School. And on the Sunday before Memorial Day, we handled a barricaded incident in town. And just if I could comment on that for a second, our people performed incredible that day. It was a 12-hour incident. Every one of our police officers that was capable of working was here. People on their day off came in. The Sheriff's Department certainly helped us with the county SWAT team as well as the negotiation team. But during this entire event, our people were on posts, rotating, making sure that the community stayed safe out there. And I can't say enough good things about them. It was a positive resolution. It was a long day, but it was some really good police work, and I appreciate everything that they did. With reference to arrests, we took 4 adults into custody for DUIs. 29 adults were charged with various traffic offenses, and I wrote myself a little note here because I realized I put that out to everybody every month when we do this. What that refers to is that's essentially people that have been stopped and they shouldn't be on the highway. They have suspended, revoked driver's license. Their registration is suspended. They don't have insurance. They're cars that should not be driven by those individuals. And when we refer to those as arrests, it is technically an arrest, but most times folks get a notice that they have to appear in court. And that's what that references rather. One adult was cited for indecent exposure. 3 adults were taken into custody on various open warrants. 1 adult was taken into custody for possession of CDS with intent to distribute, and 1 juvenile was taken into custody for a second-degree assault. 61 hours of training were completed. Some of the topics included an update on the Maryland Uniform Crime Reporting System, officer community interaction. What that refers to there, that's actually a new virtual system that they have down at the Training Commission in Sykesville. We've been sending our people through this. It's a brand new system. We're one of the first group to get to go through, and essentially it's a virtual reality program where the instructor can change the situation depending on how the officer reacts, and the idea is to come as close as possible to real life scenarios to give our guys hopefully the experience before something would take place. And it's state of the art. So far the reviews on that have been positive from our people. We conducted training on on juvenile interviews techniques, basic firearm safety, the lethality assessment program, the LAP. What that refers to is when our folks are on the scene of a domestic incident, there is a protocol that's actually used in every police department pretty much in the country now that was developed here in Maryland over a series of years, and it's a questioning process that the officer uses to try to gauge where this particular incident, domestic violence, is and how much threat potentially that the victim involved could be faced with. And with that, there's a contact protocol that takes place. Folks that can reach out and help the potential victims. It's a good program, but every so often we put our people back through the training just to make sure we're not forgetting some of the part of the process. Smugglers Inc. refers to basically a concealed compartment type thing with reference to traffic stops. And Officer Bachman completed the crisis intervention program that the county runs, a CIT. It's a 40-hour course on how to deal with people that are in various forms of crisis. Community events included a walk a mile in her shoes event. We were part of the Pipe to Side team, and that is a benefit for the Rape Crisis Center here in Carroll County. Tammi mentioned the Hampstead Day event, which was, I think it was a fun day. Shiloh Middle School, we were down there for the spring choral concert. We attended the Fallen Officers Memorial down in Sykesville, Spring Garden Elementary Field Day, the Hampstead Elementary Fun Run, and we've attended various HOA meetings throughout the month. And today, actually, it's not on the list here, but we were also participated in the Special Olympics, and Officer Wilt was my partner today over in the event, which it was a nice day for that, and we had fun, and I appreciate.
Did you walk, run, ride a bike? What'd you do?
I didn't do anything this year. Vince walked. I had to shuffle Vince in between. Next year I'll run though, and that would be my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the chief? Thanks.
Thanks.
Busy as always. My report, Hampstead Day's been mentioned at least 4 times. We were out there all day. It was an amazing, finally, good weather, reasonable weather, as opposed to freezing or hot. And I think the crowd showed it. My hats off to the Lions Club for organizing it and everything that went into it. And then everybody here, the Public Works and Police Department, everybody was on that day and made for a great event. Hopefully many more to come. This was the 49th, next year's the 50th. The most vendors they've ever had, most people they've ever had, and it was very well organized and very well run. This is mayoral busy season, so there was the American Legion Memorial Day service, which was very well attended and very well done, and my thanks to the police department for shutting down the road for about 20 minutes. I went to Manval and did some scholarships, which you're about to hear more about in a minute. The farmers market, the opening and everything that went well there, and the farmers market team is to be congratulated, and Kim definitely is a salesperson. So she does really well with her organization, and there's a bunch of stuff going on with the county and development processes that we continue to meet on. And Dave mentioned this month we go to Ocean City and sit through some some sessions that teach us to be better elected leaders, and I, not surprisingly, have the economic forecast. So, but that one's going to be a record attendance with a record number of vendors, and so we look forward to being down there for that. So there's no unfinished business. The new business is the recognition of the 2023 Town Scholarship recipients. Yes, we finally got to it. So, all right. So just want to go through a couple of them. Not in attendance. We gave away 4 $1,000 scholarships. And 2 of them can't be here because this is the week they're in Ocean City. One of which was Sophia McCoy. She's going to be attending Stevenson University majoring in marketing. She had a weighted GPA of 3.84, and she had 80 hours of volunteer hours, mostly with the Schuster Foundation, and she still remains a volunteer today. The second one who couldn't be here is Alexandra Watts. She'll be attending Millersville University, also majoring in marketing, GPA of 3.86, and she volunteered with the Girl Scouts through her youth and at St. Bartholomew's Catholic Church. So, and I've seen that whole family out there selling cookies and being active with the Girl Scouts. Then in attendance tonight, thank you for coming, Anna Klauser's here, and Anna will be attending Brigham Young University majoring in healthcare, weighted GPA of 4.44, so, and volunteer hours of over 400 with local organizations. And so it's not often we have a student going to BYU either. So you win the long distance award and go get them. And then also attending tonight is Emily Hipsley, and she's going to be attending Penn Foster College and majoring in animal science. So does that make you a veterinarian eventually? Yeah. Very good. Weighted GPA of 3.9, volunteer hours of over 201.5 with many local organizations. So, somebody got a camera? Good job, Kat. Come on up, ladies. Just want to recognize them on TV and publicly.
You missed one.
I'm getting to it.
Okay, just checking.
There's a method to my madness. Long time no see. Not in cap and gown since you're moving. Yeah, my pleasure. So it's just they've already gotten the certificate when we were at Manval, but we're especially proud of Hampstead's young citizens who lead by example and set standards for other young people to follow, setting high goals and standards for oneself and achieving them is a true inspiration for others. I couldn't agree more. So Emily, there's yours, and Anna, there's yours.
Congratulations.
Come on up, Mom. Good job.
Let me get out of your way. Okay. Well done. Thank you. All right. All right, last but not least. So we get it. This is still on too. Good. We had a fifth scholarship, and one of the people in town,
Miss Donna.
Miss Donna Lee, and she can't be here tonight, unfortunately, but she's a resident in town, and she sponsors a scholarship. And she was a nurse for many, many years. And it just so happens that we have a gentleman here who is, I guess, reconfiguring what he wants to do in life.
Still trying to figure out what I want.
Yeah, very good. Well, I mean, I can relate to this. My mother was, you know, a housewife and then became a nurse, and my wife worked in banking and then became a nurse. And so Evan Burrell, he's attending Howard Community College, and he's participating in the RN program as well, maintaining a GPA of over 3.5 and a 4.0 in all the nursing courses, volunteer hours. He's volunteered and participated with the Carroll County State's Attorney's Office on Overdose Prevention and Teen Support. So we wanted to to recognize Evan and give him a $1,000 scholarship as well. And, you know, going about retraining yourself and picking another profession, and an honorable one at that. And Miss Donna Lee is the benefactor for that, so we want to recognize you as well. We should have changed this just a touch for you, but it still works. You're young.
It's fine. Youngish.
Youngish.
All right. Thank you. Well done.
That's what I really
Good luck.
appreciate.
Yeah. Good luck with everything. Surprised it's not giving
There's that.
So, I mean, over the years, we've been able to recognize lots of people graduating from local high schools, and you know, many of them have come back, now live here, have kids here, and it's just great to recognize all the effort that's gone into it to this point. You know, the 4-year college experience is, you know, definitely something to be cherished and not wasted, and good luck to everybody as they continue on, and whether in college or in their careers. So now, the ordinances and resolutions, which I went through a list earlier today. So we have adoption of ordinance 548, an ordinance for the levy of taxes for the fiscal year 2024.
Make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Is there a second? This one does not need to be amended. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. And then adoption of ordinance 549, which is an ordinance to adopt the annual budget of the town of Hampstead for the period of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024.
I make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Make a
Dave.
motion to amend
There you go.
Second.
ordinance 541
Well, you gotta let them tell you what the amendments are.
based on the new copy that was presented this evening with the changes noted in yellow.
So those basically the changes are transfer to the capital improvement plan for an added expense we had in the water fund related to a water meter. And then we also changed our, in our capital plan, a to-be-determined column for all the water system improvements of $17 million. We transferred out $1.586 million to next fiscal year, which goes to the engineering that we're going to have to do for all the PFAS improvements. All that money is coming from ARPA. So we don't need to bond any of that yet. But this will get us to the point where we determine how much money we then have to spend on all the capital improvements going forward. So there was a motion made to amend.
Second.
Second, thank you. Now we'll vote on a motion to approve the amendment, or do we want to do the amendment first, or just do the motion as
Just do it
amended?
as amended.
Okay, so all those in favor of the ordinance as amended?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Thank you for the parliamentarian advice.
I think we made a mistake.
What I do
Approve
wrong?
it as amended.
I said,
No, you said it correctly. No, I seemed to believe, now, I think we're
We're,
okay.
we're good.
I didn't know if we had to do a roll call, but it's okay.
No, we're good. All right, and then adoption of resolution 2023-01, a resolution regarding the increase in water rates.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And then lastly, adoption of resolution 2023-03, a resolution to establish a new rental housing license fee, which,
Motion to adopt resolution 2023-03.
Second.
in a second. We didn't do a whole lot of chatting about that, but this is basically, the town's current rental housing license is $25 for one or two dwelling units. It'll now be $50 for a property with 3 or more dwelling units. It's assessed every other, and it still continues to be assessed every other year. Any further discussion?
No, that's what it is now. We're increasing it to $75.
75.
Oh, down here, thank you.
Yes.
75 per rental unit with a maximum license fee of $1,500 for a single property. Thank you. Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. I think we hadn't increased the rental housing license fee since we put it in place turn of the century. Feels weird to say that.
Were we going to discuss that, or?
No,
You cool?
we don't need to.
All right.
I mean, but we had to put in the paper for the last time ever, a notice that keeping our rate the same increased our taxes because assessments went up. But we keep our rate the same, and we've gone through this on occasion or not, depending upon how much more money we get for keeping the tax rate the same while values have gone up. So that's the notice that went in the paper that Wayne mentioned. So any public comments? Once, twice, 3 times? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
You can't adjourn unless somebody makes it. Second by Diane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Perfect. Thank you all for hanging out on this June night.